Frank Thomas, known as the Big Hurt, is one of the most imposing and revered figures in the history of baseball. I am Aldir Santos, and welcome to our channel, Baseball Legends. His career wasn't just a sequence of impressive numbers, but a journey that transformed the way we view the game of baseball. With a physique that seemed to challenge the limits of human strength and a game vision that even the best pitchers in the league struggled to counter, Thomas became a true icon. Over his 19-year career, he redefined the role of the power hitter, showing that the combination of patience and strength at the plate could be an even deadlier weapon than pure brute force. But what truly made Frank Thomas a baseball legend was not just his stats, but his ability to transcend the sport and leave a legacy that continues to influence generations. Frank Thomas's story begins in a small town in Georgia, but his journey took him to the grandest stages of global baseball, where he left an indelible mark. Drafted by the Chicago White Sox in 1989, Thomas quickly ascended through the minor leagues until he reached MLB, where he became synonymous with consistency and power. But what few know is that his rise to the top was not easy. Unlike many other big names of his time, Thomas had to work tirelessly to adapt and master the art of hitting, developing a unique style that would place him among the greatest in the history of the sport. His ability to adjust to the game's changes, even in an era marked by controversies, was what made him even more admired. Watch this video until the end to discover how Frank Thomas became a baseball legend and left a legacy that goes beyond numbers. Did you know his journey to the Hall of Fame had many challenges and surprises? Leave a comment on what you admire most about the Big Hurt and which moment in his career marked you. Don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends who are also baseball fans. Behind the immense power and home runs that made stadiums roar, there was a strategic mind and an unbeatable work ethic. Frank Thomas did not become a baseball giant just because of his natural ability, but also because of his relentless pursuit of perfection. Even in his later years, he continued to refine his technique, knowing that in baseball, success comes from a perfect balance of talent and mental preparation. In a world where the pressure for athletes to adapt to expectations is ever increasing, Thomas's story is a testament to how greatness can be achieved through intelligence, hard work, and an unwavering passion for the game. And the best part, his journey is an example of how, even after retirement, a true champion never loses the desire to leave their mark. Frank Thomas began his athletic journey at Auburn University, where he demonstrated talent not only in baseball, but also in American football. Initially, he entered the university on a scholarship to play as a tight end, but an injury eventually limited his football performance. It was in baseball that he found his true path, quickly standing out as one of the team's best hitters. His power at the plate and discipline earned him the attention of Major League Baseball (MLB) scouts. During his time at Auburn, Thomas accumulated impressive statistics and solidified himself as one of the top players in collegiate baseball. In 1988, he was selected for the United States national team, further cementing his reputation as an up-and-coming star. His ability to hit with power and consistency made him a key player for the team's success. Additionally, his patience at the plate and sharp eye for identifying bad pitches showed a maturity rare for a collegiate player. Thomas's performance in collegiate baseball did not go unnoticed by MLB scouts. In 1989, he entered the MLB draft and was selected in the first round by the Chicago White Sox as the 7th overall pick. His potential as a hitter was undeniable, and the White Sox believed he could become one of the cornerstones of the franchise in the future. Thus, Thomas began his journey through the minor leagues, where he quickly showed he was ready for a bigger challenge. His time at Auburn was essential in shaping the player he would become in MLB. It was there that he refined his technique, strengthened his physique, and sharpened his competitive mindset. His commitment to the sport and work ethic set him apart, preparing him for success at the highest level of professional baseball. What began as a collegiate dream would soon turn into one of the most legendary careers in baseball history. Frank Thomas was selected in the first round of the 1989 MLB draft by the Chicago White Sox as the 7th overall pick. From the start, there were high expectations surrounding his talent as a hitter. His strength, discipline at the plate, and ability to draw walks caught the attention of the organization, which believed it had found a player capable of leading the franchise in the future. With a mature profile for a young athlete, Thomas quickly began his journey through the minor leagues, where he showed he was ready for the next level. His time in the minor leagues was short-lived because his talent was evident. He demonstrated an impressive ability to hit with power and consistency, putting up numbers that convinced the White Sox's coaching staff he was ready for the MLB. In August 1990, just over a year after being drafted, Frank Thomas was called up to the big league team and made his debut in Major League Baseball. His arrival marked the beginning of a new era for the Chicago franchise. Even with little MLB experience, Thomas quickly proved he belonged at the highest level of baseball. He stood out for his command of the strike zone and his incredible ability to reach base, either through hits or walks. In his first full season in 1991, he batted an impressive .318 with 32 home runs and 109 RBIs, immediately establishing himself as one of the league's most promising young players. His disciplined approach at the plate set him apart from most rookies, making him a constant threat to opposing pitchers. Thomas's impact on the White Sox was immediate and lasting. He quickly became the team's primary hitter and one of MLB's biggest stars. His presence in the heart of the lineup brought stability and offensive power to the team, helping to turn the White Sox into a competitive squad in the following years. What started as a promising call-up from the minors soon became the beginning of a legendary career, making Frank Thomas one of the greatest hitters of all time. In the 1990s, Frank Thomas established himself as one of the most dominant hitters in baseball history. His incredible power at the plate and his ability to drive in runs quickly earned him the nickname the Big Hurt, a reference to the damage he inflicted on opposing pitchers. Combining brute strength with a refined approach at the plate, Thomas became a constant threat, putting up impressive numbers year after year. What set Thomas apart wasn't just his strength, but his discipline at the plate. He had a keen eye for the strike zone and rarely strayed from his patient approach, waiting for the right pitch to attack. This combination of power and intelligence resulted in high batting averages, a high on-base percentage, OBP, and an impressive ability to hit home runs and drive in runs. Between 1991 and 1997, Thomas had an average of .330, with an OBP over .440 and an average of 35 home runs and 115 RBIs per season, dominating the American League. His performance was so overwhelming that he won back-to-back American League MVP awards in 1993 and 1994. In 1993, Thomas led the White Sox to the playoffs, recording a .317 average, 41 home runs, and 128 RBIs. The following year, during the player strike-shortened season, he continued his dominance with a .353 average, 38 home runs, and 101 RBIs in just 113 games. He became the first player in MLB history to record 7 consecutive seasons with a batting average over .300, 100 RBIs, 100 walks, and 20 home runs. In addition to his MVP awards, Frank Thomas also accumulated numerous All-Star Game selections, earning 5 nods in the 1990s. His presence in the All-Star Game reflected his importance to the league and the respect he garnered from opponents and teammates. He also took home 4 Silver Slugger awards, reaffirming his status as the best defensive first baseman in the American League. Even in an era filled with great hitters, Thomas stood out for his consistency and the absence of controversies related to banned substances, something that affected many players of that generation. His imposing physique and refined technique allowed him to dominate pitchers naturally, solidifying his reputation as one of the greatest hitters of the modern era. Frank Thomas's impact in the 1990s was monumental. He not only set records and amassed individual awards, but also helped define the standard of excellence for power hitters of the modern era. His legacy as the Big Hurt lives on, and his influence can be seen in many players who have adopted a similar approach at the plate, combining patience, power, and intelligence to achieve success. Frank Thomas won the American League Most Valuable Player (MVP) award in 1993 and 1994, a feat achieved by only a few players in MLB history. In 1993, he had a spectacular season, leading the Chicago White Sox to the playoffs for the first time since 1983. With a batting average of .317, 41 home runs, and 128 RBIs, Thomas was the centerpiece of the team's offense. Additionally, he demonstrated incredible patience at the plate, accumulating 112 walks and posting a .426 on-base percentage (OBP), making him a constant threat to opposing pitchers. His impact was crucial in helping the White Sox finish with one of the best records in the American League. The following year, 1994, Thomas not only maintained his level of excellence, but took his performance to new heights. He posted an impressive .353 batting average, 38 home runs, and 101 RBIs, despite the season being shortened by a player's strike. His OPS, on-base plus slugging, was 1.217, one of the highest in history for an MVP. His overwhelming performance solidified his dominance in the league and proved that he was, without a doubt, the best hitter of his generation at that time. Unfortunately, the MLB shutdown prevented Thomas and the White Sox from competing in the World Series, but his individual impact was undeniable. These achievements placed Frank Thomas in an elite group of players who won MVP awards in consecutive years, joining legends like Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, and Joe Morgan. The double recognition reaffirmed his status as one of the greatest hitters of the modern era, combining power, discipline, and consistency like few others. Even in a time filled with offensive talents, Thomas stood out for his approach at the plate and his ability to produce impressive numbers year after year. His back-to-back MVP titles were a landmark in his career and helped solidify his legacy as one of baseball's giants. Frank Thomas built a legendary career based on power, discipline, and consistency at the plate. Over 19 seasons in MLB, he accumulated 521 home runs, 2,468 hits, and 1,704 RBIs, numbers that place him among the greatest hitters in baseball history. His approach at the plate was unique, combining patience with incredible firepower. He could both make contact and send the ball out of the park, becoming a true nightmare for opposing pitchers. Reaching the 500 home run mark is a feat reserved for a select few players in MLB history, and Thomas achieved this milestone on June 28, 2007, while playing for the Toronto Blue Jays. With his powerful and distinctive swing, he sent the ball into the stands of the Metrodome against the Minnesota Twins, further cementing his status as one of the greatest hitters of all time. This achievement virtually guaranteed his Hall of Fame induction, as players who surpassed this mark are historically recognized as legends of the sport. Beyond home runs, his incredible ability to drive in runs was one of the great differentiators of his career. With 1,704 RBIs, Thomas was consistently among the league leaders in this category, being the primary offensive force for the Chicago White Sox throughout the 1990s. His presence in the lineup not only intimidated opponents, but also provided protection for his teammates, ensuring the White Sox always had a potent offensive threat. Another impressive aspect of his career was his OBP, on-base percentage, and his patience at the plate. Frank Thomas accumulated a career OBP of .419, showing that he didn't rely solely on his strength to impact the game, but also on his discipline to wait for the right pitch. He led the American League in walks 4 times and had 7 seasons with over 100 walks, demonstrating an exceptional understanding of the strike zone and a meticulous approach at the plate. Even when dealing with injuries in the latter part of his career, Thomas remained a productive hitter. After leaving the White Sox, he played for the Oakland Athletics and the Toronto Blue Jays, continuing to add impressive numbers to his legacy. His impact was felt by every team he played for, and even at the end of his career, he maintained his reputation as one of the most feared hitters in the game. With 521 home runs, Frank Thomas joined an elite group that includes legends like Ted Williams, Willie McCovey, and Eddie Matthews. His combination of strength, discipline, and longevity ensured that his name would be forever etched among the greatest in MLB history. His legacy goes beyond the numbers, as he redefined the role of the designated hitter and proved that intelligence and patience at the plate were just as valuable as raw power. The 2005 World Series championship won by the Chicago White Sox was one of the most emblematic moments in the franchise's history, ending an 88-year championship drought. Although Frank Thomas didn't participate in the playoffs due to injuries, he was still part of the roster and contributed to the team's success during the regular season. His impact over the years was crucial in building a winning team, and his presence on the championship roster was a recognition of the role he played in transforming the White Sox into a competitive powerhouse. Even though he wasn't on the field during the postseason, Thomas celebrated the title as one of the team's great leaders. Throughout his career in Chicago, he was the face of the franchise, serving as the team's biggest offensive star for more than a decade. His influence was undeniable, and the 2005 championship represented not just a collective triumph, but also a validation of all the effort and dedication he had put into the team since his debut in 1990. For many fans, the title was also a tribute to his legacy. After the championship, the White Sox chose not to renew Thomas's contract, marking the end of his long tenure in Chicago. However, he will always be remembered as one of the greatest players in the franchise's history. Even without playing in the decisive games, Frank Thomas was finally able to be called a World Series champion, a title that crowned his brilliant career and further solidified his status as a baseball legend. After leaving the Chicago White Sox in 2005, Frank Thomas signed with the Oakland Athletics for the 2006 season. Many questioned whether he could still perform at a high level due to the injuries that had affected him in his final years with Chicago. However, Thomas quickly proved that he was still one of the most feared hitters in the league. With 39 home runs and 114 RBIs, he was a key player in the A's reaching the playoffs, where he helped the team advance to the American League Championship Series, ALCS. His impressive performance earned him a 2-year contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. In 2007, while wearing the Blue Jays uniform, Thomas continued to showcase his offensive power. He hit 26 home runs and drove in 95 runs, proving that he still had gas in the tank, even at 39 years old. During that season, he reached one of the biggest milestones of his career, his 500th home run, becoming one of the few players in MLB history to reach this remarkable mark. His impact in Toronto was significant, but the team decided to release him early in the 2008 season after a slow start at the plate. Soon after leaving Toronto, Thomas returned to the Oakland Athletics, the team where he had found great success 2 years earlier. While he still brought experience and leadership to the roster, his performance had already begun to decline, and he struggled with the natural physical decline of a veteran player. He played 55 games for the A's in 2008, but an injury cut his season short. This turned out to be his final stint in MLB. After the 2008 season, Frank Thomas decided to retire. With a career spanning nearly 2 decades, he left baseball with a legacy of power, discipline, and offensive consistency. Few players manage to maintain such a high level of production over so many years, and his name was already cemented among the greatest hitters of all time. In recognition of his immense contribution to the Chicago White Sox, the franchise honored him in 2010 by retiring his legendary number 35, which he wore throughout his career with the team. Additionally, the White Sox held a special ceremony for Thomas at U.S. Cellular Field, where he was officially celebrated as one of the greatest legends in the team's history. His retirement did not mark the end of his influence on baseball. Frank Thomas remained involved with the sport, working as an analyst and MLB commentator. He was also a strong advocate for clean players during the steroid era, defending the importance of ethics in the game. His impact on baseball extends far beyond numbers and accomplishments, leaving an example of hard work, dedication, and love for the sport. In 2014, Frank Thomas received the greatest honor a baseball player can achieve, his induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. On his first time on the ballot, he was elected with 83.7% of the vote, a testament to the impact he had on the sport. His entry into Cooperstown solidified his status as one of the greatest hitters in MLB history and one of the most dominant players of his generation. During the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Thomas delivered an emotional speech, expressing his gratitude to his family, friends, teammates, and coaches who supported him throughout his journey. He also emphasized the importance of playing clean, without the use of banned substances, a relevant theme for a player who competed during the controversial steroid era. Thomas was always a strong advocate for integrity in the sport and believed that his achievements were even more special because they were accomplished without cheating. In addition to his Hall of Fame induction, Thomas was also honored by the Chicago White Sox, the team where he built his legendary career. In 2011, the franchise unveiled a statue in his honor at Guaranteed Rate Field, immortalizing his place in the team's history. The White Sox had also retired his number 35 in 2010, ensuring that no other player on the team would wear it again. These tributes reflect the profound impact Thomas had on the organization and its fans. His legacy extends beyond the field, as he changed the perception of designated hitters in MLB. Although he began his career as a first baseman, Thomas spent much of his later years as a DH, showing that a designated hitter could have the same value and impact as defensive players. His induction into the Hall of Fame reinforced this idea and helped solidify respect for the role within the league. Beyond official recognition, Frank Thomas remained an important presence in the world of baseball after his retirement. He became a sports analyst, providing commentary and analysis for MLB broadcasts. His experience and knowledge of the game made him a respected voice among fans and other professionals in the sport. Thomas's Hall of Fame induction was the crowning achievement of a spectacular career, marked by impressive numbers, individual awards, and a lasting impact on baseball. He not only dominated his era as a hitter, but also helped define a standard of excellence and ethics for future generations of players. His name will forever remain among the giants of the sport, remembered for his power at the plate and his commitment to the integrity of the game. Frank Thomas was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2014, an honor that solidified his status as one of the sport's greatest legends. Thomas's entry into baseball's most prestigious institution was no surprise to anyone, as his career was marked by impressive numbers and a rare longevity for a player in his position. Over 19 seasons in MLB, he stood out for his ability to hit with both power and precision, becoming one of the few players to reach 500 home runs and maintain a batting average over .300. This achievement confirmed his place as one of the greatest hitters in history, deserving to be alongside the best players to ever play the game. His Hall of Fame induction also recognized his impact off the field. Thomas was an example of ethics and discipline, staying away from controversies related to the use of banned substances that marked his era. Even when baseball was grappling with its own crisis during the steroid era, Frank always maintained his integrity, admired by both his peers and fans for his clean and professional approach. He was not only a great athlete, but also a leader both on and off the field, always willing to help younger players and share his knowledge of the game. In addition to his unquestionable talent, Thomas's Hall of Fame induction was also a celebration of his longevity and resilience. Despite injuries that marked his career, he managed to reinvent himself over the years, maintaining his relevance at a high level and continuing to be a force in the Chicago White Sox's lineup. Frank Thomas's selection was one of the most celebrated at the 2014 ceremony, and his legacy remains an inspiration to new generations of players who seek to follow in his footsteps. After his retirement, Frank Thomas found a new passion in the media world, becoming a sports analyst and commentator. He began sharing his vast knowledge of baseball, offering a privileged view of the game for fans and viewers. His experience as a player, combined with his deep understanding of the nuances of the sport, made him a respected presence in broadcasts, where he analyzed everything from hitter mechanics to the most complex strategies of the games. His transition to media was natural, as Thomas was always articulate and knew how to communicate effectively, translating the complexities of baseball into accessible terms for the public. In addition to being an analyst, Frank Thomas also became a baseball ambassador, helping promote the sport in various ways. He participated in campaigns and events focused on growing baseball, especially among young people, encouraging new generations to fall in love with the game. His image as one of the greatest hitters in history became a powerful tool to inspire and motivate young athletes, showing them that excellence in sports is achieved through hard work, discipline, and love for the game. He continued to be a fervent defender of baseball, ensuring that the sport's legacy remained alive and respected. Throughout his career as an analyst and ambassador, Thomas helped keep baseball relevant in a world that was becoming increasingly competitive with other sports and entertainment. His contribution to the sport was not limited to the field, but also in the crucial role he played in educating new generations of players and fans. Frank Thomas continued to be a model of integrity and passion for baseball, demonstrating that his influence on the game went far beyond statistics and records, as he became a true ambassador of baseball's culture and history. Frank Thomas's story is more than just a tale of success in baseball. It is a lesson about what it means to achieve greatness in a genuine way. His journey teaches us that true success is not just about numbers or victories, but about how you behave in the face of adversity and challenges along the way. Thomas was a model of perseverance, hard work, and integrity. In a sport often dominated by physical giants and intense rivalries, he stood out not only for his strength, but for his strategic mindset and adaptability. Ultimately, the way he faced obstacles, both on and off the field, reflects the character that led him to earn a place among baseball's greatest legends. Frank Thomas also shows us that excellence in baseball, as in any other field, is not achieved all at once, but is the result of a daily commitment to continuous improvement. His ability to evolve as a player, adapting to changes in the sport and the challenges that arose throughout his career, is a clear example of how dedication and a willingness to learn are crucial to success. He knew that to remain relevant in a game that was always changing, he needed not just talent, but also intelligence and constant hard work. His trajectory is a reminder that, regardless of our natural abilities, we can always grow and improve through continuous effort. Another point that Frank Thomas's story teaches us is about the power of authenticity. In an era marked by doping scandals and controversies related to the use of illicit substances, Thomas remained true to his principles. He was one of the few big names of the steroid era to stand out not because of his chemical strength, but because of his natural ability and his ethics. This stance not only preserved him as a model of integrity, but also earned him the respect of peers, coaches, and fans. He proved that often it is the true inner strength, the ability to stay firm in one's beliefs, that defines the longevity of a legacy. Frank Thomas was not just a great player. He became an example of how to build a solid and lasting career based on values that go beyond the game. However, Frank Thomas's impact goes beyond the baseball field and statistical analysis. His role as a sports analyst and ambassador for the sport after retirement shows the importance of carrying on a legacy. When he retired, Thomas didn't disappear from the screens or conversations about baseball. He continued to influence the game, educating and inspiring new generations of players and fans. He used his platform to share his knowledge, discuss the nuances of the game, and more importantly, encourage young athletes to follow their passions with the same dedication and integrity he demonstrated throughout his career. How he stayed active in baseball after leaving the field is proof that true greatness lies in impacting future generations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more fascinating content, and activate the bell to receive notifications. And be sure to leave your comment. Finally, reflecting on Frank Thomas's career leads us to think about how greatness in baseball and in life can be achieved when you are true to yourself and your own path. His story is not just about being one of the greatest hitters in history, but about becoming a person who leaves a mark on the world, not just through achievements, but by how they face challenges, work ethic, and contributions to others. Frank Thomas was not just a giant on the baseball field. He became a giant in the history of the sport, not because of his physical strength, but because of the strength of his character. His legacy is proof that true greatness goes beyond the numbers, reaching the soul of the game and the people involved in it. Until the next journey, dear baseball-loving friends,